board. This is the estuary. I took this picture yesterday. Couple of things to point out here. It's a beautiful body of water. We have a kayaker here. Kayaker, you can see there are, wind lines. You can see there are power boats. But unlike the rest of San Francisco Bay, which, at this point in time could be blowing 30 knots as it was on Friday, it's actually pretty chill, which is fantastic. By the way, as a note, and this is where the Kimball Livingston book comes in, technically we should be calling it the Oakland Inner Harbor, but estuary sounds much better. I'm actually cool with that, if you guys are cool with that too. Okay, so there is a lot going on here. For one thing, we do have like 6 yacht clubs. Folks be like, why is it that Alameda has 6 yacht clubs? Well, we love sailing. What can I say, guys? But there have been other stories too. For instance, the old thing that people like to mention is that we used to have the Metropolitan on the Oakland side, around Broadside. Actually, once upon a time, Oakland Yacht Club used to be on the Oakland side, but now it's on the Alameda side. Go figure. We've got a lot of marinas, a lot of boats, and then you might notice here we've got Coast Guard Island as well, which presents quite a scenic location, but also is creates its own conditions from a racing point of view. So this is a map that I took from the book. It is fantastic. All right, so one thing I should just point out as to why, the estuary is the way it is. Well, if we go back to the olden days in the late 19th century, Oakland and Alameda became effectively shipping hubs. There's a lot going on here. I mean, a lot of the early maritime commerce was things like lumber and cattle hides. Later on, it became very much part of the war effort. Put it this way, it didn't become an estuary until I think it was actually 1902. That's when they started dredging. This Alameda used to be part of a peninsula. It only became an island when the Army Corps of Engineers went to town on it, and by 1913, it was really its own entity. This picture is actually taken from roughly Alameda Marina. So this is the sort of Brooklyn Basin area looking north towards Oakland. You can recognize, if you live in an Alameda, you can recognize the Oakland Hills in the background. But this is around 1890-ish, so you won't see a sort of Coast Guard Island per se. You won't see the clipper ships, but you do see there was a lot of industry going on around here. So, Alameda definitely has had a very, very, very long precedent of being a place where boaters have flocked, either, for a business or recreation. And
we do have one wooden ship entered in the race on Saturday, so that's keeping the tradition.
That's right. It's a really good nod to that, actually. Fun fact, we still have a lot of commercial traffic. So Oakland's cargo volume makes it the 8th busiest container port in the United States as of 2020. And you wouldn't believe I mention this because, we have people that are new to Alameda going, how do you not get run down by container ships? I am too scared to go out into the bay. Well, to be honest with you, I'm actually a little more terrified of the getting in and out of Long Beach. I've never really had a problem in the estuary with commercial traffic, but you can ask me questions about that later, no problem. All right. So what else makes this place unique? As far as racing goes, as you saw, it's a fixed course. We don't spend time adjusting the windward or the leeward mark to be completely square, because honestly, we just can't. The estuary is a big old bend, and it means that every race is different, and that is terrific fun. As you saw, it's flat water. It's protected from strong winds and currents. I was racing on Friday night. It was blowing 30 knots, apparently. I saw somebody take a photo of their true wind speed at the South Beach race, and it was like 30, 31 knots. It was really frisky. Yes, we broached. Yes, we had all sorts of disasters, but it wasn't 30 knots. It really wasn't. All incompetence is on my shoulders. We have turbulence from the buildings. We have clipper ships. We have shifty wind. As someone who loves trimming, I love the estuary because it keeps me awake. There's always something cool to do. And you know, there are places where you'll find lifts, you'll find holes as well if you fall into them. Well, hopefully you won't because you're here. And then, as I mentioned, you know, we do have boat traffic, but fun thing on Friday, we started, we were all heading up towards Jack London Square, and then all of a sudden, the Awe Society, all these college kids in Skulls, just kind of, you know, headed straight for us. And for a moment, I was like, who calls? They're not on starboard. Who are they? Like, what do we do? You know, basically, it came down to we wanted to avoid the collision, so they kind of avoided us. They slowed down, and we kind of avoided them. But it does give you a lot of food for thought as you're going along. All right. So let's talk about race preparation. It definitely starts before you before you start loading beers into the cooler. Have to admit, one thing that you should mention, especially if you're you're starting off in Alameda Marina, which the picture is here, is what are the tides doing? As Janet mentioned, good news, it's an ebb tide. So, you know, if we do start on time, which I'm sure we will, on Saturday, you know, where it's actually going to be very favorable. But if you want to be a little less scientific about it, you can look at things like the rocks. You can look at the ramp and you can be like, okay, well, based on my previous observations, high tide, it's probably heading down in a second. This is really high tide, by the way. When the ramp is like this flat, that's pretty high tide. Okay, so I guess we're going to be anticipating a flood. Another thing to do is really look at the wind, look at Windexes. We used to have a really cool flagpole at Alameda Marina, as it was around until about a month ago-ish. And I'd always look at that flagpole and then I'd look at the Windexes and I'd try and get a feel for it. Okay, wind is like that up there, it's like that up here. Cool, man. Okay, now we can talk about what side to put the spinnaker pole on. And we'll talk a little bit about wind direction in a very hot minute. So we have basically, there are a couple conditions that we could basically augment our racing for. First of all, I just want to say with these pictures, what we're looking for here is we're looking for the streaks. If you look, actually, we've got Encinal Basin here. This is probably my favorite spot to look at for the following illustrations. I'm sorry, just go back again.
I like that.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much. But this is like a Google Earth map, and if you look at the streaks, you see these streaks, these slightly wider streaks. Oh, the streaks off here on Oakland side. There we go. That's probably a little, you know, something to look at here. This is pretty much indicative of a westerly breeze. Westerly is what, for the most part, like, you know, it's what we're used to in the Bay Area, right? You know, basically, it's all heading from the bridge or it's heading from the west. Okay, cool. And you know, that's, of course, as I mentioned before, it's not going to be a square course by any measure because we have this sort of dog leg that comes up here before you get up to Jack London Square. But, you know, you can see at this point, it's pretty much straight down the estuary, right? Other sort that we should be looking for is a left breeze, and we'll talk about this a bit more in a moment. You can see it streaming off here. This is, again, Encinal Basin. This is what we call Wind River, which is a tech company. You can see it streaming off here. Now that all of a sudden changes how you're sailing too. All right, so now let's talk about the right breeze. Now you can see it coming off streaming off the Oakland side. Is that pretty evident? Like, you guys can see that? This kind of streakiness here.
Yeah, it looks good. It's very, very visible.
Okay, sweet. That's great. So you can imagine, like, the lines that you're going to be taking to get up to Jack London in these situations are fairly different. Friday, it was pretty much a right breeze, I would say. And we were just doing, it was a drag race. It was a total, no, actually, I'm sorry. I was on port tack. So in this case, it was a left breeze and we did a drag race pretty much up to Jack London. Yes. But, you know, we'll have it where it's center and then it'll be tackfest. And I've heard about people that have circumnavigated Alameda Island the wrong way, as they'll say it, and they've counted 62 tacks to get up the estuary. So, you know, choose your direction wisely if you ever do want to do a circumnavigation. All
Hey,
right.
Ross, can you make your cursor a little bigger? Someone had asked.
Oh,
So they
unfortunately, I
can-
can't make it a little bigger, but I'll try and be a little more descriptive in what I'm saying here. Gosh, that's true. I might be able to get some sort of marker here, actually annotate. Oh, there you go. That might help. All right, cool. So as far as starts go, Square Breeze, you know, it's the idea here is to well port tack out to Oakland side as much as you can, considering that we've got the clipper ships. And then tacking when prudent, left breeze. Now, oh my God, if anybody here was at the Dave Perry seminar, you know, I will say very cautiously start on port tack. Nathan, would you like to say a few words about what was he described it as, being on heroin or something if you're on port tack when you start?
It's not a good habit to get into.
Yes.
It's
All right.
great when it works. It's not so great if you get stuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cautiously. And then this picture is taken from right. What I can say is, you know, for a bit of reference, how the boats are relative to the Coast Guard ship. You know, folks started out a little on starboard and then they quickly tacked over onto the port. And the thing is, this is where, you know, things do get interesting. You know, people all head towards Alameda and then they'll start tacking back on a port tack in front of you. And anyway, good times. So as far as the course, and this is again assuming that it's one of the three sort of breeze directions that we were talking about earlier. You know, first of all, as far as the upwind leg goes, just, you know, if you are in, say, Bravo and Charlie, like on Friday, watch Alpha. See what's going on there. What is going on? Which way is, you know, the wind blowing? I mean, how are they moving? And this is kind of a fun picture. I know that we have Skipper Slice on the line here, but, you know, I can see in a way that you're kind of heading down a little bit here, not pointing high like this guy over here. You know, it's interesting to just watch the boats ahead of you and just see what is going on, and also what the wind velocity is like. Here's some pretty regional specific information. Pasta Pelican, which is a restaurant. The sign is kind of half fallen down. It's kind of the pavilion Pasta Pelican now. When you see it, you'll see the guest docks and the Towboat US sign. Usually you can anticipate a head around there. It's kind of where the Alameda dog leg, it goes from straight west-east to like that and starts heading sort of southeast. There is the wind kind of shifts around there. And actually, it's been super interesting the last few weeks because, like, for instance, Nathan and I will be sailing with the spinnaker up and we'll come around sort of past the Pelican. And this isn't so much worrying about the header at this point, but all of a sudden we'll come around the corner and with the spinnaker up, we'll be running a really hot angle. Even on Friday, we ended up running a really, really hot angle, but we'll talk about that a bit more on the downwind leg. And the thing to mention too is the houseboats, which you'll see, I should have thrown a picture in here, do create a bit of a hole. So do look ahead, see the houseboats go, okay, no me gusta, they can do them. Look for clear air, look for where the spinnakers are collapsing if you can. You'll also see people potentially running really hot angles. Those are all good things to note, and where you can pass. And I always find, as we'll cover, the downwind more interesting in my impression. So as far as the downwind course goes, yeah, look for, before the leeward mark, look for those passing lanes. I'm sure we can talk a little bit more about inside overlap and those rules in a moment. But, you know, just try and look ahead. Just look what's going on down there. The big tip, though, that I can give, and I'm sorry if I'm taking away people's secrets and thunder, is you'll see this time and time again as you're approaching Mach 5 down here. And this is when I probably should start to annotate, actually. So, you know, if you are looking at heading towards Mach 5 down here, you'll see that people do one of two things. They either go to Mach 5 and all of a sudden they turn very quickly upwind. Often these guys will end up just going into this sort of bouncy, just trying to work this one out. you'll also see a lot of the locals get really deep into this little basin in here. And then they'll just try and shoot really, really high and try and get this done in one tack. We were so close on Friday, but unfortunately we had to throw an attack and off we went, and it was all great. But if you can just do one glorious tack, of course, it's going to be wonderful. So just remember to stay left on the course around here. And then to Nathan's point, there are a lot of docks and general stuff around here as well. That's one thing you don't really get to see on the regular Google Maps. So, you know, I remember the first time I got really deep in here, it actually freaked me out a little bit because I saw just, you know, the marina, and I was like, if you get, it doesn't look like a place to maneuver, go suss it out. You'll be right. All right. So apart from that, clear all drawings, there we go. And then, yeah, that's the other thing too. If you do have opponent, like if you're following this line here and you do have opponents on your port side, and you'll say back here, they're just throwing dirty air at you. It's just going to be a giant header that you have and they don't have. So this might be actually a really good time, and this could be a good time here to be super defensive. Mark, I'm going to be covering questions at during panel time, if that's okay. But we'll get to you. We'll absolutely get to you. All right, cool. So thing to mention is that, let's see, just clear all my drawings. There we go. Basically, you know, lifts are common on both sides of the estuary. There isn't like necessarily a magic side. Sometimes it can be a little close to shore. So, you know, see how comfortable you are about that. I mentioned the houseboats being an issue. There can be a hole there. And also to be mentioned is, we should show you that left breeze photo again, actually, because when the wind is a little left, it is possible to grab that little lift around Wind River. For us, there's a little buoy down there too, which is great. So if I just go quickly back to that, we'll have a look at how this is streaming. See this? Me gusta. So keep in mind that there's a mark here, and there's a mark here. And if you're going to be doing this dog leg, some people find it a really awkward dog leg. Personally, I think this is where things get fun. You know, it's just the maneuvering is perfect. Sometimes you can find that little lift around here. And this is the Wind River building. I'm sorry, I should annotate again for you so you can see that. So, oops. It's actually bottom right. So sorry about that. Oops, where did I go? There we go. Bottom right down here. All right, cool, man. So.
Well, you'll really owe me time. Fight me.
Oh, we've got friends. So final 3 tips before I hand it over to the panel is, this is one that actually Dave Perry threw our way. What we'll notice is sometimes it might look like a header, like you'll start to laugh a little bit. But what isn't uncommon is that wind speed can vary quite dramatically. This isn't a bay race where you just sort of sit in the fire hose for the entire upwind leg. Things could be quite dynamic. They really can be dynamic. And this is personally why I love being a trimmer, because you have to make these decisions. You know, I'll very commonly just see things happen. I'll be like, oh, we're being headed. All right, is it time to tag? But actually, no, it might just be a change in velocity, so trim accordingly. Definitely know your holes. I kind of put in there, it sounds dirty, but it's good to know that the houseboats can be an issue. Also having marinas and a lot of upright things that can basically change how wind flows around the estuary is super interesting. There can be big wind shadows, oh my gosh, and very light conditions, but then it'll just pick up half a second later. And finally, be like Carly-Ann and enjoy the ride.
I'll start with Karissa. What got you into estuary sailing?
Oh, I got on my first estuary race. I learned how to sail first as racing at TISC, which is the Treasure Island Sailing Center. And one of the instructors there, his name's Paul. he invited me out actually on Cammie's boat, which you saw that Cammie is a sailmaker. It's a very large boat, Golden Moon. And I got to be the squirrel, which if you don't know what squirrel is, it basically means you are inside the boat in the front of the bow, pulling the spinnaker frantically through the front hatch. So that was my first taste of estuary sailing, was actually on a really big boat doing an important but pretty unseen job with a really good race crew. So that was my very, very first taste of estuary sailing. After that, then I got hooked into the women's sailing seminar. It was recommended to me by another woman who sails in the Bay. And I joined that. And from there, I started going out on a bunch of different boats, just getting on people's boats in the estuary for beer cans. Pre-COVID, I think I did pretty much every beer can. So I was sailing, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if I could do it. I was racing.
Funny how estuary sailing gets under your skin and stays there.
It gets under my skin. It's so easy. Everyone's very nice. And it's just the right amount of excitement to me. Like there's not a lot of like serious, beep moments. There's like just enough excitement, but it's still very manageable and a really, really fun time after work. It's the best.
I'm going to ask the same question of you, Christine. Nice to see you. Hi. So
Hi.
what do you love most about estuary sailing?
Well, I do love the flat water. It's a really nice change of pace from the open bay. I started sailing on the estuary as a student in the women's sailing seminar back in the maybe mid-90s. And then I did my first race as a woman skipper on a friend's boat. Now, I am an outsider to the estuary. I have to come from very far away, 2 or 3 hour deliveries through sometimes that really nasty heavy weather out there. And this particular race was no exception. We came all the way from Tiburon Yacht Club, which is in the North Bay. And I skippered my friend's Catalina 27 and just had a blast. And ever since then, I've really enjoyed racing on the estuary. And we try to make it at least a couple of times a year. In addition to also when I can, being an instructor now at the Women's Sailing Seminar.
Oh, great. So we have some questions here.
Mhm.
Where are those questions? Do you have the questions, Ross?
Oh yeah, so
Run
you
away from my
actually,
screen.
I'll see the first one about crewing. That was one that you came up with.
Oh yeah, so we had a question from somebody here who said, what do they want? How can they start to participate in estuary racing if they don't have any experience? I'm just going to say, first of all, get on a boat, find some people who are, and there's lots of them, lots of sailors who are very forgiving and compassionate about people who want to learn how to sail, and will help you learn. And you get on a boat and you take one roll and you see how it all goes. And if you can't get on a boat, then come and hang out with the race committee and you'll see how that part works, which is also educational. So if you just come to, even if you can't get on a boat beforehand, just come down to the dock.
Mm.
But okay, I'm sorry, I had to jump in and say that.
No, I love it. I love it.
I love that. I feel like a lot of people know that I've been on lots of boats. So
Yes.
for everyone's knowledge, I've only been sailing for about 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years. So I'm actually very new to it. I started with no experience and didn't have.
And now Karissa is one of our sailing instructors at the Women's Sailing Seminar.
I'm a women's sailor. I'm an instructor, which blows my mind. And I just bought my first boat. And my first race on my new boat is for Sadie's. But I would say tell everybody that you want to get on a boat. So I would say your network effects. If you want to get on boats, just tell anybody who will listen that you want to get on a boat, because you never know who's going to like have a crew drop out or have an open spot or register a race that they didn't have planned. So I would say tell as many of the people here in the chat, tell any of the island friends, tell any of your friend owners, anybody that will listen that's into sailing, that you want to race and get on a boat and that you don't have a boat to get on, and I guarantee you someone will come back to you. That's how I did it. I just told everybody that I was like up for like crewing on anything. I was not picky, as long as they felt like the boat owner was not mean. I don't feel like getting yelled at in my fun time. But that's how I got on a ton of boats. The list of number of boats I have been on, I tried to go through it the other day and I can't even remember them all. It's probably over 20 different types of boats at this point in 2.5 years.
Oh, and I see Emily. Emily, you are here. Emily's here. I just thought I saw her.
Yes, I'm here. I just tuned in.
Hello.
Hello.
So our third panelist is here also to talk about yacht racing the Estuary Way. Emily, what is it about the estuary sailing that particularly appeals to you?
I like that there's just not a whole lot of downtime. There's like, you've just rounded a buoy and you're getting, you're just barely got up set up for your next leg when it's like time to change things. So for my short attention span, it works out really nicely. I like that. It's also more mellow conditions than out on the bay. Doesn't take a whole day of time investment. It's just something you can, do at the end of your work day. Yeah.
That's good. Hey, you know what? So Emily, we also got you here, and because you are out like every week, like we just see you on the race courses every week. I've got this $1 million question that I received here. We know that the wind usually comes from the west. We spent a bit of time today just talking about that. Is there a favorite side? Should we be hugging Alameda or should we be hugging Oakland?
Well, it depends, but I will say, like, my boat nemesis, Nice Turn, they're like my enemy on the estuary. They call it the Lelo lift, which I like to get the lift over by Jack London when you're going for like Mark II, or when you're going for Mark I, and you're already, if you're say you're right in the middle of the estuary, and you could either like tack earlier and then head for your mark, or you could just try to ride the edge and hope and pray. I usually just keep my fingers crossed and try to keep riding the lift on the Jack London side, at least going up there. And then of course, I mean, the slides mentioned it, but don't go in the lee of the houseboats.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Christine, do you have any top tips that you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I find on the downwind leg that if I get too close to Grand Marina, I have two things happen. Grand Marina being on the Alameda side and east of the houseboats. Two things happen. One is that there are wind holes. The other thing is that there are side blasters. So now if you have a spinnaker up, now all of a sudden you've gone from a run to a reach. And usually it's so quick that your crew doesn't have time to react. And you end up turning rather sharply to port. And so I like to not be too close to the Alameda side. On the other hand, if you get too close to the Oakland side, then you're going to get trapped against the Coast Guard ships. So it's kind of a fine line, like a little tightrope that you're walking to stay in clear air and not be forced to jibe maybe when you don't want to.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have our cruise chair here, Eric. He can speak very well about the Sideblasts. His nickname is now Diamond Hands because yes, we got a little bit overpowered with the spinnaker up. First thing I did was I, blew the bang, and I was like, okay, why are we not coming up again? Why are we still pinned down? And then I saw old Diamond Hands is hanging onto the sheet for dear life, and I went, mate, I love you so much, but you have to let go. But that just came out of, I mean, I won't say it came out of nowhere because, you know, we're having this conversation now, but it can catch you by surprise. Yeah.
I want to go fast.
You want to yeah, we were running angles then. It was pretty great. Anyway, terrific time. We're all in the call now, so nobody died, obviously. Great. So let's just see. I have a couple of questions here. A lot of them are, some of them are crew related, but I'm really enjoying some of these ones about the wind here. I mentioned already that the question was, is the wind generally steady or does it change up and down the estuary? I think we just covered that one pretty well, actually, in regards to the puffiness. And if you fall into a hole, you fall into a hole. If you get blasted from the side, then you really do. So I would like to just answer that one by saying no, steady is not really a characteristic I'd use to describe wind around here. Okay, so here's a question. Are there any suggestions regarding tactics surrounding the mark behind Coast Guard Island? Just quickly, behind Coast Guard Island, do you guys think that means Mark 5 at the bottom of the course? Or
No, that means the 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, 2, 3, 4.
Or maybe
Oh,
2, 3,
okay.
and 4 are the red day marks with the obstruction area, or maybe they're
Oh.
talking about the day mark, the green mark 4 day mark at the end of at the west end of Coast Guard Island.
Oh, on the west end. Ah, right.
It was my question.
Uh-huh.
And I meant the day markers behind Coast Guard that are the obstruction markers.
Okay. Well, we can't actually question Nancy since it was her question. We can't say, no, that's not what you meant.
Well,
Although
I just know that was a place that we got stuck a lot.
yeah, because there are actually submerged sunken vessels there, and you don't want to go between Coast Guard Island and those marks. So there is actually no race, at least not put on by Island Yacht Club, that includes rounding one of those marks.
Mm-hmm.
Tom says that some Encinal still uses those marks sometimes.
Well, that's why we're Island Yacht Club and they're Encinal.
Well, some of our people here may do some Encinal races.
I don't know, if you have to round one of those marks in a race, then stay close to the mark is all I can think of, because there are dangers lurking closer to Coast Guard Island. And I know that the actual day marks aren't placed right there at the edge of the danger. So you could probably safely navigate around the marks themselves.
Jens Jensen is on. He's the Commodore of Encinal. He might have a remark or two to make. Jens, you can unmute yourself if you'd like to make a comment.
If you want me to say something. So yeah, we also have long conversations about this, and we actually there's a large contingent in our club that says, don't you ever make Mark 4 a rounding mark, but I support your view on this. We never use the channel markers as marks of the course. So we always, and we don't make it restricted or obstructions, but you need to pass fair judgment to stay in the channel or not in the channel, right? And the only mark we put there is a temporary mark, which is within the channel.
Well, good. So that's good. So we're all staying safe and away from.
Yeah, but we're meaning all the same, but we may say it in different ways, which adds to the lore.
Yes.
Since we have Jens here, I have a question. And I'll preface it with a comment, and that is that oftentimes when we're racing up to the Jack London Square area or back from it, there's a large contingent of Encinal Yacht Club juniors who are doing their own thing, often in double-handed dinghies. I'm not sure, FJs?
Yes, they're sailing 420s.
Yeah,
and
420s.
FJs, yeah.
And they're often going, we're going up and down the estuary, and they're going across this way, and we see them and we're like, uh-oh, now what do we do? So this is a whole nother obstruction. And I guess my question for you, and maybe you don't know just offhand, is whether or not there's any activity of that sort going to happen this Saturday.
I think, so number one is, I think, yes, we've had train wrecks in that respect, but then there's always the rule. It says leeward boat has right over windward boat, and starboard tack for port tack. So you need to observe that. But we recognize if they come out in force, it's a bit of a, was it like a pinball, machine you need to get through. So we're trying to align ourselves, and I think Ross and Nathan, we've talked and trying to talk about this race, moved it from a Sunday to a Saturday, I think, right? And
That's correct.
different weekends. So hopefully
Yes.
this time we'll have clear sailing. And
I think it's really exciting when the juniors are out sailing.
yeah, I mean, and the
well-
juniors, they have built-in right-of-way, right? When
Yeah.
they sail, they think they can go anywhere. So it's like a Lexus car owner or something. So no, but I think there's nothing going on next weekend. So I mean, nothing of any significance. There's a lot of COVID related rescheduling and hoping and cancellations going on right now.
Mhm.
Still going on.
Yeah.
And I see a comment here that someone says, Karissa says, last Saturday she was out sailing and there was a rowing regatta. So you never know what might be
Yeah.
out there in the estuary. Sometimes there's a barge coming down the estuary. That's definitely an obstruction worth avoiding.
Now we have those new boats, those Duffy boats that are going up and
Mm.
down. The
I have
estuary.
to read up on my own rules of sailing, but I thought a sailboat has right of way over everything except if it's a fishing boat fishing. If it's a trawler
That's
trawling,
true, but if
they
you,
have rights over a sailboat. A sailboat can call rights on anything.
I wouldn't want to be the sailboat calling rights of.
No, I don't want to be either, but it's
We might
No.
need to check the rule book on that one, because you got to take into account rowers and stand-up paddle boarders and
Yeah,
all the
my
rest of it.
understanding is
Commercial
that sailboats do not have rights over commercial vessels that are
no,
towing.
no, I'm not talking about commercial
So
vessels.
yeah, okay. But also
There's also
human powered
overtaking.
craft.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, my understanding is that human powered craft has rights over sailboats.
Ah,
Say that again.
like rowboats.
So I mean, yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
know because I want to read up on that, so I don't want to saying the wrong
especially
things. But when
in,
you're out on the ocean, a sailboat has right of way over 20,000 container ship. So the container ships have no rights over a sailboat unless they're sailing in waters that are, making it difficult for them to maneuver, like the whole San Francisco Bay and the whole entrance from
Right.
the ocean to San
That's
Francisco.
true.
But when you're out on the ocean, we have the rights.
If the
You don't want to enforce it though, because you're like a fly on a windshield, but we have the right.
keep in mind that that rights are one thing, but also there's etiquette and seamanship, and it's actually every boat's responsibility to avoid a collision. So
Of
even if you collide with another boat, if you're have right of way, technically, it's still a breach of the rules. So keep that in mind.
pedestrians have rights of way over cars, same thing, but you
Not
don't want
always.
to challenge the car if they're not giving you the right of way necessarily.
Well, I think it's bad to talk about right of way. It's about who has the honest to avoid the other boat first. And so in that sense, I think the big ships are not home free. So
Yeah. And on that note, actually, because we've gone almost 10 minutes over now, I think it's probably worth us just wrapping things up there. Good final comment actually in the chat from Jill and from Melissa saying safety first. So that's really what it comes down to. We spoke about it at the beginning. The other thing is too, if you piss off the kayakers, I'll remember you, especially if you have a big orange spinnaker like we do. So be kind out there, everyone, be kind.
I saw a good comment in there about BADS, the Bay Area Association of Disabled Sailors is a great place to get some experience. They're always looking for new sailors who are willing to help on their crew. So you can look at baads.org and get some sailing experience. keelboat sailing every Sunday, small boat sailing every Saturday.
That's
Well,
great,
Christine
actually.
is one of our members, so you can always
Yeah.
get her.
Thank
We
you.
can get you
Thank you.
contact information to her.
Yeah. Actually, Christine, I do want to just say like a quick 30-second plug for Bads because love the group.
Perfect.
Love to say a 30-second plug for that. No, I mean, it is the cheapest and easiest way to get sailing experience on the bay. We sail every weekend and we're always taking a fresh set. Sorry, it's like all dark and weird in my place. We're always taking fresh sets of people with disabilities, and we have skippers like myself. I can't use my arms and legs, and I need help from able-bodied crew. And I'm taking other people with disabilities out in San Francisco Bay. And so like you guys are saying, safety first. So we always enjoy people who can use their arms and legs and who are willing to use them to hoist some sails and move things around on the boat for us. So we're open to all experiences and all types of people and all abilities. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. You can contact me and I can put my email address and phone number in the chat. But we sail out of South Beach Yacht Club or South Beach Harbor in San Francisco. So if you're willing to make the trek over there, and we're hoping to be sailing out of the estuary soon. So
Lovely.
That's
thanks.
awesome.
Thank you,
Great.
Christina.
Thank you all for showing up tonight. We really appreciate it. We've recorded this. We'll get it out to you. As with all of our resources, we want to keep you in the loop. And if you have any questions, just continue to email us at info@iyc.org. So see you Saturday on the water for Sadie Hawkins, and maybe Sunday for opening day on the bay. It's going to be a great weekend.